The idea, when I made my first film, I think because I chose this season of autumn in my first film, it kind of organically I felt maybe I'll make, 4 seasons or a trilogy at least or things like that. And for this second film, I think the germ of the idea started with a conversation, about the Penelope story in of this woman basically weaving a shroud, which is the Penelope story, and that was kind of to, in some ways, invert that kind of story as well, which was the case in my first film as well, which is this kind of biblical story of God asked Abraham to sacrifice what is dearest to him, and he chooses his son. But at the last minute, the son is replaced by a lamb or something, sheep. So in Harut, we kind of inverted that. So something similar here. So that was also a conversation with a friend that this time basically a woman who's waiting and weaving. That was the basic.
What is really happening?
Yeah,
in that sense.
yeah. So, I mean, I read Isman Zabo's interview a long time ago, and it's just, he said we basically make the same film over and over again. So in that sense, yeah, both my films are about the same topic, same theme, which is basically life under oppression, state oppression or violence of all kinds, but state oppression mainly. So those are the, disappearance, enforced disappearance, for example, which is very few people outside of Kashmir know about this particular thing of, nearly 8 to 10,000 enforced disappearances in Kashmir. And to give you some perspective, in Argentina or Chile during dictatorships, there were about 2,500 to 3,000 who were disappeared. So for 8 to 10,000 people to disappear in a democracy, not a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And it's not happening, over 5, 6 years or 7 years. It's happening over decades. And to have, on top of that, to have more than 6,000 unmarked graves. In some graves, there are more than one body. And the state refusing to, for example, have any kind of DNA testing, to identify, to give what the last scene that you see in the film, the last sequence of these parents, these families who used to protest on the 10th of every month in a park in the heart of Srinagar, just to give them closure, because the woman who started this organization, the Association of Parents of Disappeared Persons, her 16-year-old son was picked up and he never came back home. And this is an illiterate woman who realized after a point that she's not alone. And she started going from village to village, from town to town, to find these other parents, to start this organization, and to have these, almost silent protests, or sit-ins rather, with these placards. And the situation has reached a stage where, they're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So when you say how difficult it is to tell a story, when it's getting nipped in the bud, where these parents are not getting, or these relatives are not getting that kind of closure. They are, obviously they know that, you know, a 16-year-old who disappeared 30 years ago is not going to come back or is not alive, but you still need closure, and that closure is denied by the state. So yeah, it's I mean, other than that, you know, for an independent film, it is difficult anywhere. In Kashmir, there are special circumstances. There is volatility, there is uncertainty. I mean, when we started shooting in 2019, I think after the first couple of days of shoot, the Pulwama incident happened. And rather naively, we continued. We decided that we'll continue shooting. So we used to leave from the city to go to the village every morning. In the winter, at 7 o'clock, it was pretty cold, and it was a war-like situation. There was hardly anybody on the roads. And we needed a wake-up call, and you know, one day our drivers got beaten up by the army, and then eventually our sound engineer got beaten up as well. So then we had to stop, because their safety is also kind of a responsibility. So we stopped. Shankar and I told the crew that, you know, this is the situation, and if anybody that we have to take a collective decision whether we should stick around or give up or go back, and I don't know, maybe all of these people other than Shankar and me were younger than us. Maybe it was youth. They said, no, we'll stick around. And we sat around for a good 12 days